Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the YouTube audiobook series for The Forbidden Truth, written by Abby Matthias. I am Darius, and today I will be introducing Chapter 5. If you missed Chapter 4, links in the description below, and so is the playlist. Go ahead and check that out. And if you are all caught up and ready to go, we will continue on with Chapter 5, Protector Wings.
I woke up abruptly from an unusual nightmare, desperately trying to fill my lungs with air. With a sudden wake-up, I ended up sitting myself up rapidly, trying to take in my surroundings. It was hard for me to do at first, as I was still in an unfamiliar place, yet I still managed to make my brain comprehend that I was in Darius's house that he apparently had in hell. I semi-recalled the memory of taking in the sight of his kitchen and living space as I entered the home. My brain also reminded me of the drink Darius gave me and how I drank a small glass before I became loopy. That's when he tucked me into his bed, where I now sat under the sheets. With all that information in mind, my body started to relax as I began to feel somewhat safe again. After a few moments, I turned my head to the left to see his little side table right next to the bed with an alarm clock. Checking the time that was displayed, I realized that the time was somehow 40:60 p.m. It left me confused as to how that was even a possible time measurement. Human time only ran for 12 to 24 hours, depending on if someone ran on military time or not. However, I still had to remember that I was residing in the demon realm for the time being. So I brushed the topic aside and continued looking at a different part of the room. As I rotated my head to face forward again, I saw Darius's small desk with 4 different books stacked neatly on top of each other, along with writing utensils scattered upon the top of it. I didn't take note of these on his desk before, but curiosity was starting to get the best of me. I mean, I certainly wasn't going to go back to sleep after that nightmare somehow conjured up within my mind. I had to find something else to do for the time being, and I wasn't going to leave his house. So I uncovered myself from the blanket and decided to make my way over to the desk. Upon doing so, I saw that the 4 books were placed right in the middle of it. The top one that I saw was an azure blue color with silver text that glittered in the torchlight. As I gazed upon it, I read the title of the book as it displayed Protector Demon Tips and Tricks. From my understanding of the text, this was some sort of informational publication about protector demons. Curious as to what kind of information was inside, I started to open the book to begin reading it. However, while examining the pages, I saw highlighted areas within different paragraphs. Some of the information was relevant with the present, and some was past information that wasn't necessary anymore. For example, I saw that protector demons can free roam after being with their protector child for a span of 2 months. But before that, they could only do so when the child was sleeping. I already knew he could free roam because of the times I have been left alone to tend to my dates with Damien. Another important piece of information I learned was that protector demons gain different kinds of powers according to their child's needs. That must be why he had powers in the first place. The abilities were for protection and defense against any danger that we might encounter. Even though some of his powers were still confusing as to why they were important, I now knew that he obtained them for a reason. As I continued skimming over the pages, I realized that all of the highlighting was done by Darius. He must have gotten this book so he could better understand his job. I smiled a bit thinking of that notion, when I suddenly started feeling sharp pain forming within my shoulder blades. I tried to roll my arms within a circle to stretch the area, I thought maybe it was spasming from stiffness or a nerve being pinched. However, that pain began to grow slightly as I did so. I stopped immediately and my breathing started to pick up again. I didn't know what was happening to me or if something was going on, yet I still knew that something was off and didn't feel right. Using my better judgment and instinct, I decided to try and contact Darius.
Darius?
I called out loud, hoping to get a response.
Hey, I can't talk long because Satan's up here.
He replied after a few seconds.
Something is happening to me.
What do you mean something is happening?
I'm in pain for some reason. All I did was sleep and walk around when I suddenly formed striking pain within my back.
Okay, I will come back down as soon as I am done with Dickhead over here. Just lay on your stomach and don't move around a lot. I'm sure it's nothing.
Once I got instructions, I made my way back to the bed and did as I was told. As I laid still, I tried to reflect upon something else. However, the only thing that was on my mind was the pain that was gradually growing. I believed that was because I had to maneuver myself back to the bed, so I began to close my eyes and focus on my breathing. As my eyes were shut, I managed to think about Damien and how he treated me. How at this very moment, he would be giving me a massage and gently rubbing my skin to ease the troubles away. His soothing voice would fill the air and blow my worries away. The kiss of his lips touching the sore spots as if everything would have halted from just his love. Upon those thoughts, I started longing for his company and embrace. I wanted the caring soul that for some reason treated me like his prized possession or his queen. The one person that I wanted to be around 24/7. But at this point, all I could do was imagine him with me. So I did for a while longer, before the pain started increasing again. This time, however, I felt like I was being stabbed within the area of my shoulder blades. It was as if I felt the sensation of a knife scraping at my skin. Eventually, it felt like my skin was tearing, but it couldn't have, right? There was no one in the room with me. No knife was around that could have caused this pain. As I started moving my arms to adjust my position, I took note of the sound of skin tearing some more, while two objects stabbed through the barrier of my body. I grew petrified and closed my eyes from the realization. What the hell was happening to me? What was jabbing out of my back? As I sat frozen once more, the pain intensified quickly to the highest degree, just like when Satan gave me this treacherous demon body. Because of the extreme amount of agony I was in, my mind drew a blank and I couldn't focus on anything else that happened except for the last moment. My body jolted backwards after whatever happened, and the pain started to become bearable again. It still hurt to shift my body a little, but at least I could focus and open my eyes. When I did just that, I became panicked again. For as I gazed to the left of me, I saw a huge ocean blue feathered wing laying on top of me. I took in a large gasp from the shock when it suddenly flapped to raise itself off of me. However, I was flung into a sitting up position as the wing did so. At that moment, I saw two individual wings filling my peripheral vision. I turned my head to each of them to see them as a pair behind me. I could only see the tops of them, though, and wanted to get a better look at them as a whole. So I began to grab a hold of each one to pull them out from behind my back. Upon doing so, I felt a sharp pain as if they pulled on my shoulder blades. I flinched in reaction to that for a moment, but I eventually became fully aware as to why that happened. These wings were attached to my body. I somehow grew a pair of wings out of nowhere. But yet, how could this happen? I wasn't really a demon or succubus, as Darius calls women down here in hell. I was still human. This couldn't be real, right? Maybe I was still dreaming. But yet I didn't know what to believe anymore. Everything a part of this demon world was confusing and hard to understand. Almost everything about it can be changed or modified. Even I was, because of my demon spirit I miraculously had. So after reflecting upon everything, I started to cry. I didn't know what else to do. I was just so overwhelmed and in shock about everything. My brain also reminded me that my demon had no clue about this and would discover this soon enough. How was I supposed to explain this? I truly didn't do anything wrong. All I did was sleep and read a little bit of a book. I didn't think the book would be enchanted or anything. Darius didn't even know how to do that kind of thing. So as I sat in a ball sobbing, the wings suddenly curled over me. I gasped as they did so, but yet I didn't grow super alarmed. They didn't surround me to squeeze me into a ball or hurt me in any way. They just caressed my body with the soft feathers surrounding me. It was like my own padded cocoon that surrounded me with comfort. Regardless of the feeling, though, I continued to whimper on myself. After a while, I heard a thud within the room, yet I didn't panic. I knew exactly who it was before they spoke, so I somehow was able to stay hidden by my wings as I heard him address me.
Okay, Abby, I'm back. What's going?
And Darius paused mid-sentence. I assumed he took in the sight upon his bed and grew confused as to what it was. However, I was forced to expose myself as the wings uncurled from around me. My eyes took in his reaction as I lifted my head. His eyes started to widen as his mouth dropped a bit from the sudden change. I didn't know why, but the expression displayed upon his face tore me to pieces. I felt the sorrow and tears build up even more as I sat petrified.
Darius, what's wrong with me?
I continued to stare at him as he lifted his hands up to display open palms. By the way he somewhat stuttered, I knew he was speechless. Nevertheless, he managed to form sentences to talk.
Now, I know that you somehow have a pair of wings, but that doesn't mean anything is wrong with you. This is just an unknown development. We will figure this out. For right now, though, I want to examine your wings and make sure you're physically okay. Am I allowed to do that?
Answering his question, I nodded my head to give him permission. Upon that, he stepped closer to the bed and gestured his hand out, signaling me to grab it. I did so, and he helped me stand up from my sitting position. As I did that, I felt the weight of the wings hanging from the sore area of my shoulder blades. The sudden poundage of them had me struggling to stand, but I managed to hold my torso up. Gazing at Darius's face again, I saw that he was puzzled by what he was observing. However, he also expressed curiosity as he rubbed his chin with a slight smile upon his face. I could see his eyes skimming along the surface of each wing, taking in all of the details. He started listing each characteristic out loud for me to hear.
Well, I can see that these wings are probably about as tall as you and stick out past your sides. Yet it isn't horrible. I have seen bigger wings than that before. The bone structure of the wings look to be a dark blue, while the feathers have different tints and shades of the same color. Also, they appear to look like a typical angel wing if that makes you feel better. Now turn around so I can see the connection to your body, please.
I did as he requested and felt the wings tickle my ankles as I turned around. I chuckled a little from the sensation, but was brought to a halt when I started feeling pain within the shoulder blade area again. I winced, and my wings shifted slightly as I raised my shoulders. However, Darius immediately responded to my action and approached my back.
Where does it exactly hurt? Is it your upper back?
He asked.
Yeah, within my shoulder blades.
After my response, I felt him touch my spine and pinch my clothing. Growing confused, I spoke out.
What are you doing?
I am moving your clothes out of your wounds. The wings ripped through your dress and...
Wounds? How can I have injuries?
Upon my panic, the wings flapped and pushed Darius away as they flung me forward once more towards the bed. I caught myself before falling into it and straightened myself quickly to turn back to Darius. He was stepped back all the way by the front door and stared at me shocked. Growing worried myself, I spoke aloud to him.
Are you okay? I didn't do that.
I'm sure you didn't. Yes, I'm fine. Don't be concerned about me. I am not the one with the injuries.
He then walked over to his closet and opened the door. He started digging around on the top shelf and eventually pulled out a small case. It was white with a red plus sign indicating it to be a first aid kit. He laid it on his desk to lift the lid and revealed typical medical bandages and wraps. There were also small tools stored within it, such as tweezers, needles and thread, scissors, and forceps. I grew a little nervous seeing those utensils in plain sight and swallowed hard. I didn't think my pain was that severe to the point where I would need stitches, yet I wasn't able to see my back and didn't know the full extent of my injury. Growing nervous, I started fidgeting with my fingers trying to distract myself. However, before I could do it for very long, Darius spoke out from the kitchen.
You don't need to worry. The skin around your wings doesn't look extremely teared. Yes, the wings tore through your flesh, but the surrounding skin should heal around the bone without any scarring or medical assistance from stitching.
How did you know I was worried?
I asked, feeling relieved by his response. All he had to do, though, was give me a slight smile and tap his finger to his head to figure out he heard my thoughts. Being embarrassed and ashamed at forgetting that, I slumped into myself and spoke again.
I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that you listen to my thoughts.
Only sometimes. I don't do it on a daily basis.
He said, turning back to me with a wet rag in his hand.
You don't? Like, you're actually being genuine with that response?
Yes, of course. Sometimes it happens out of nowhere, like just now, but I tend to stay out of your mind as much as possible. That's a sacred place for people to think and process things on their own. No one needs others intruding on their thoughts of privacy. I am no exception to that.
He stated as he approached me again.
Please turn around so that I can get to wrapping you up.
With that gentle command, I turned around again to face my back towards him. I heard him digging in his little box again as I stayed turned around, but after a few seconds, I heard the sound of scissors cutting fabric. My head flinched from the unexpected noise, and I spoke quickly.
Are you cutting my dress?
Yes, but only a little so I can thoroughly clean the area without any obstruction. Your clothes will repair themselves after a while. They always do.
He said, continuing on with the cutting.
Is that what happens to your clothes? They just somehow magically repair themselves?
Yes. Anytime there is damage caused to the clothing it fixes after a few demon hours. No matter if you ripped it yourself or someone else caused damage to it. Now, close your mouth for a second. This might sting a little.
Upon his statement, I felt the warm rag upon my skin and felt the stinging sensation he was talking about. My jaw clenched from the pain as he supposedly sterilized the area of dry blood. Once he was done, I heard him walk to the desk and grab more materials. I stayed silent as he continued on with his work. As he kept bandaging me up, I reflected upon the medical attention he was giving me. He was very delicate as he tapped and placed some sort of cloth around the wing. I didn't question his method as I knew he was a doctor in his past life. He would know how to treat any wound correctly. I mean, this was different because of the demon realm, yet he would still know better than me. As I was lost within my thoughts again, I heard him speak again.
Based on these reference pictures, the title of your wings you gained is Protector. They can appear in many different colors and sizes depending on the person who gains them. However, the structure and form stays the same.
What reference pictures?
The ones shown in this book I'm currently reading.
With that, a random book levitated in front of my face while a red force surrounded it.
Take a look and see for yourself.
I did so and took in the references and also some of the words upon the page. I wanted to know as much information as possible and know exactly what was in store for me. So reading out loud to Darius, I recited the text.
Wings of this kind are extremely high in value and importance within our demon society, as only 10% of citizens have them. Protector wings are obtained by only the purest of demons who show willingness to protect and serve others. Being seen with these is a privilege and an honor within the social ranks of hell.
After that, I immediately started asking questions.
What does it mean to be high in value? Wouldn't it make more sense for you to have these then? I'm not an actual demon, so how can I be a pure demon?
Upon my questions, Darius finished patching me up when he started answering me.
Abby, I don't know. I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just as confused about this sudden change as you are. That's why I'm trying to read the book to learn more information.
As he lifted the book back up, I turned my body to face him again, reading it. Disregarding that, though, I began to freak out more.
But Darius, what happens if anyone sees me with these wings? The book says they're extremely valuable. Would someone kidnap me to try and cut them off my back?
Abby, now you're talking nonsense.
He said, slamming the book shut.
You should also know already that I would never let that happen to you.
I know. But what happens when Satan finds out? He never leaves us alone. He's gonna find out about these wings and know exactly what they are. He's gonna get angry again and do horrible things to us.
I started exclaiming when suddenly my wings started taking flight. They flapped and lifted me off the ground effortlessly. I was forcefully raised up till I started hitting the low ceiling as I screamed in panic. I didn't know what was happening, but Darius was quick to chime in while grabbing my arm.
Abby, you need to calm down. Your emotions are getting the best of you.
It's not my emotions. It's these blasted wings. I didn't tell them to do this.
I know, but new wings are hard to control. They react to your emotions just like my fire and muscle power do. After some practice with them, this won't happen. But for now, you need to calm yourself to a reasonable state to stop them.
How can I, Darius? I'm more of a target to everyone.
No, you're not. You won't be seen in public down here. Plus, I would never let that happen to you. I am here to protect you. Through thick and thin. If anyone tries to get to you, they have to go through me first.
Really?
I asked, a little stunned.
Yes, of course. I care about you and your life so much. I can't even begin to tell you how much you affect me in my life. I wouldn't want to protect anyone else. I am so lucky to have you as a protector child.
With Darius's kind words, I started to slow my breathing and my wings brought me down gently to the ground. As soon as I landed on my feet, Darius placed his hand upon my cheek and brushed it with his fingers. I immediately felt the comfort flowing into me as I gazed at him with sorrowful eyes. I felt horrible for making him spill his feelings out like that. I knew he didn't do it often, which made it a little worse. Plus, I felt like a bigger burden now with these wings. We already had such a chaotic partnership. Adding this on top of it was gonna make it 10 times worse. As I kept thinking about the cons of having these attached to me, he spoke aloud again.
We will get through this. I promise. I will do whatever it takes, and we will get control of these new additions. Okay?
I nodded my head in response, and we both became silent. We were just letting everything sink in and trying to create a calm atmosphere between us. However, it was abruptly interrupted by a voice echoing in the room.
Abby, honey, I've made you brunch. It's already 10:30.
Darius, that's my mom. She's trying to wake me up.
I exclaimed.
Then we got to get you back up to your body. Out the door, now.
We both quickly ran to the front door to exit the house. He again let me go first, and I ran off the porch and started to wait for Darius. He was trying to lock the door and double-check things when suddenly I heard my mom again.
Abby, are you okay? Sweetheart?
After her voice sounded again, my wings suddenly took flight once more.
Darius!
I cried again, watching the ground get further away from me. The last thing I saw was my demon run off his porch and look up at the sky as I somehow disappeared into the dark clouds. As I continued rising rapidly, I gazed up to find a bright red light that blinded my eyes. I blinked once to try and clear my blind vision, and when I did, I was in my room laying on my bed. I jerked myself up, reacting abruptly. I also heard my mom gasp to the right of me, and I turned my head to catch her reaction.
Oh my goodness! You scared the crap out of me! You were in such a deep sleep. I couldn't wake you up like normal.
Oh, I am so sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to. I guess I was just tired, I said, making up an excuse. I looked about the room to see everything to be normal, and after a few seconds found Darius pop into the room by my desk. He was visibly shook and panicked as he was breathing hard and stared at me wide-eyed. However, he took in a sigh of relief and placed his hand upon his chest at the sight of me in my body.
Well, now that I got you up, I made you scrambled eggs, bacon, toast, and a bowl of fruit. I hope you enjoy.
Oh, trust me. I will, Mom. I always do. And I chuckled as I found it a little funny. As I started to dig into the food, Mom decided to talk some more.
Hey, honey. I do want to talk to you about something, though.
Oh, you do? Am I in trouble for some reason? I asked, concerned.
No, of course not. I just wanted to ask if you could watch the dogs this weekend. Your father and I want to go on a little getaway before the holidays. We very rarely go on those to begin with, but I figured I would ask instead of just throwing you into it.
I would absolutely watch the dogs for you guys. I totally get it. Go have fun with Dad. It'll be good for you two to go out. Especially Dad, since he's usually busy all the time with the farm. Upon my response, her face brightened and her mouth displayed a huge smile. She then embraced me into a hug and started to thank me profusely.
Thank you so much. I love you, and I will make sure to leave you money for doing this. I really do appreciate it. You can also have Damien over as well if you would like to. I trust you both to make the right choices and take care of everything while we are away.
Aw, thanks, Mom. I would love that. No problem at all. I love you too. And with that, she gave me a kiss on the forehead and left me to eat. Once the door was closed, I immediately turned my head to Darius as he stepped towards the bed.
Thank goodness you're all right. I didn't know where you were going.
He said, relieved. I didn't either. I didn't know where I was going or why. I don't like this, Darius. I don't want these wings if they're gonna keep doing this to me, I said, starting to get worked up again.
I know you don't.
He replied, sitting himself down on the bed.
Unfortunately, though, we have to get used to them. It will get better over time, like I said. You just need to practice with them.
How can I practice when I am living my life? I can't just leave my body whenever I want. It would be too suspicious, and I do not want to go down to hell again,
Absolutely not.
he said in a stern tone.
I wasn't implying that at all. However, I know a great time when you and I can train with that.
Oh, really? And when would that be? Darius then gave me a blank stare, as if I was supposed to be realizing the obvious. However, I continued staring at him, confused, when he finally gave out his answer.
This weekend, when your parents are away.
After his response, my eyes widened and my mouth dropped a little. I knew that was somewhat logical, as they would be away from the house, yet I was still thrown off by the idea. It wasn't the fact that I could practice without being caught by anyone. What scared me more was the idea of practicing with them. I may have wings, but he doesn't. How would he be able to help me train if he didn't have them himself? There would be no personal experience behind the lessons, and he would have to use book knowledge. But the most important thing was if I took flight and lost control of my wings, how could he retrieve me or help? So upon my brief reflections, I brought my worries to the table. You may have a point of practicing while my parents are on their getaway, yet there is still a problem in the mix. If I lose control and take flight, how would you retrieve me? If I shoot up like I did down in hell, who knows where I'm gonna go?
I know. We just have to keep your emotions in check before we do anything. If you just remember to breathe and keep calm, you'll come back to safety. We will make sure to take the extra time and steps to have you in a neutral state of mind. I won't put you in a position of danger. I never would do that.
I felt somewhat relieved at his last sentence. I was still pretty skeptical about the whole thing, but I knew I could trust Darius. He has come through on his promises and means well. He has never put me in a threatening situation or pushed me to do something I was uncomfortable with. He respected my boundaries and my decisions, even if they frustrated him sometimes. So with those thoughts in mind, I nodded my head in agreement as my body filled with worry about the weekend.
This has been Chapter 5, Protector Wings, from the book The Forbidden Truth. Tune in to the next video for Chapter 6. Thank you for watching.